All right, everyone, back with Char as we're going to unpack it with her because we feel like she didn't unpack it enough. So, Char, what would you say are the top 3 types of trauma that the youth are facing? I would even just say in this current environment right now, that's making it like a little more challenging to be growing up in this time.
Yeah. So coming out of the pandemic has been hard for a lot of kids, whether they have a good, solid family or not so much.
Yeah.
So just, being at home and now all of a sudden being back to school and integrating, there's been a lot of anxiety around that. It's really, hard for kids that are in foster care right now because there's been a lot of family disruptions, and the biggest challenge for kids coming into care is like leaving, not just their family, but their friends, their school, their community, their pets, everything that, everything. So if I were to say to you guys, like, okay, I'm going to place you tonight at one of my friends' house. I'm not telling you what city. I don't know what cultural background they are. I don't know what their house is. Like, how would that make you feel, right? Just the anxiety of thinking about that. Yeah.
So anxiety for sure.
So anxiety has been really big that I've seen, and I do work with children in care. So they're already experiencing, that trauma background. So just worrying, like I've stopped watching the news completely. But just like if they're a family that have the news on all the time, so it just creates more worry and angst about health and all these messages that they're getting. And a lot of conflicting messages, right? It's really confusing.
Well, and I think I really like also, I just want to backtrack for a second, what you said about, like, you really like this whole concept of keeping people safe, right? And it's like, when you start listening to all of that stuff, it's like we don't even realize, we as adults are impacted, but like even when kids, they can't really, maybe see the proper thought as it unfolds. They're just hearing this information. It's like, it's already starting to rock with their safety. So it's like, it must be even harder for them to like just exist in the normal framework of a life every day.
Yeah. And then you've got parents that have lost jobs, don't know how they're going to make ends meet, and
so financial
and all
burden.
That stress, and it's kind of like a big snowball effect, right?
Gosh.
And I think it's also really hard for parents because we sometimes use our kids, especially if you're single parents, right? Sometimes we don't realize, and our kids become our sounding board because it's hard to always keep ourselves in check, right?
Right.
Nobody's a perfect parent all the time, and sometimes you're going to let off a little steam. So it's really kind of, you have to start paying attention.
Yeah.
Can I just interject with a fun little fact? I love that Sue has her seatbelt on right now.
Just to prove that we're not driving, but I'm
driving.
Safety.
I was going to say, she's feeling safe.
Shout out to Char right now for
Bringing
tapping
it
in the safety. I guess I'm feeling a little extra safe right now.
So when we talk about safety, we always think about physical safety. It's like, oh, my house is safe. But when we're talking about safety and trauma, it's emotional safety.
Absolutely.
So does your child feel safe to talk to you about anything?
Yeah.
Right? And maybe they do, maybe they don't. Like,
and maybe
so
some things they do, right?
Yeah,
some things they don't, some they do.
They might think are off. Like,
mine are like, oh God, Mom, don't talk about blowjobs. And I'm like, no, you need to talk about all of that, right? And they're just like, the things but then they listen, and I think they're like, yeah, okay. And then we have like better, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it's just like, it's kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off. And I think it's also the concept of just talking about whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, if your kids start seeing you talk about whatever, the kids around you, start seeing, then they don't think it's so weird to be like, oh, this guy kicked me in the leg today at school. Like, it'd be a lot easier to bring it up instead of like, oh my God, how was your day at school? You know what I mean? Sometimes that's a little annoying, I think, for kids, especially if you're dealing with kids and they're not your own.
Yeah.
Right? You want to still have that respect and treat them like people. Because that's the one thing I think even children that go through trauma, especially, they can really, because they're super highly sensitive, is like they can pick up on the fact whether you're treating them like with respect or not. It's all in your tone. It doesn't matter how nice you are.
They
but
have a great, like, bullshit sensor.
Yeah. Like
they know if you're being genuine or not.
That's it.
And I was going to say about like certain topics, if you're uncomfortable about talking about sex, it's okay. You know what I mean? Just tell your kid, you know what? This topic makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe we can find someone like Tammy or Sue that we can talk to. You know what I mean?
I'll drop you off at the playground and maybe there's somebody sitting there like...
Yeah. Okay.
It's more about being open-minded.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So then, of kind of those topics, like, are there resources out there for families? So even if they're not within the foster system. So if I, whatever, was like, okay, holy crap. Like, are there resources that people can tap into to help?
There are so many out there, and basically you just have to Google different things, and things will come up. And Facebook's great for connecting communities and kids with trauma. If you're looking for therapy and specific resources, every community has like a hub where you can call them and they will help you to find services in the community.
That's cool.
In Brantford here, it's Contact Brant.
Yeah.
And then in Hamilton, it's Contact Hamilton, and same with Niagara.
I think like Rock.
There's Reach Out Center for Kids, Rock in Halton. So just, get onto Google.
So localize.
Reach out to someone.
But the key is like, community. If you're concerned, take some action, even if you're a kid, right? There are like, even like...
Kids Help Phone.
Kids Helpline, things like that. Like, but you have to kind of take the first step, right? You can't sit back and let the world dictate to you how it's supposed to be. It's like, you literally have to, even if it's like just asking someone for a number, or like, you know what I mean? Just literally open your mouth, or just say hello to someone.
And people have a lot of preconceived notions about therapy and what it is. And it doesn't have to be that sit down talk therapy. For kids with trauma, play therapy is great.
Yes.
Movement is great. Like
art
dance.
therapy, I heard.
Bilateral art therapy is when you use both hands to draw.
Oh, I like
and
that.
It connects the brain.
Yeah.
There's also something called EMDR, which is it's an eye movement desensitization reprocessing that helps with trauma. So there's so many like cool things out there.
Yeah.
And like we want to look at the holistic piece for a child. So we want to look at their spiritual,
which is amazing.
And just really reaffirm for them that they're not alone, that people are watching out for them, they're special, and do lots of affirmations for them. We want to look at their medical health.
Yes.
I don't want to discount all the medical pieces. Like sometimes we think as adults, it's just trauma. It's trauma. Like we're trying to look at things through a trauma lens, which is great. But
if you're
don't
eating
discount
only donuts all day.
Don't discount there's something maybe medical going on as well. So always go to your family doctor too. They can also be a great resource.
Or naturopath.
Yeah, or a naturopath. I love, I love natural health and nutrition and all that, and that's another one of my passions.
Yes. Or ask Char.
Yeah.
Shout out a question.
And there's so much we can do for brain health.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think, Char, is your kind of special sauce or twist, and kind of really, working with these kids and kind of getting this message out there that you're not alone?
Yeah, for me, it's about focusing on their future, their strengths, doing skill building, really seeing the child's potential, right? And talking positive about them. Let's not focus on what's happened, right? The past is the past. Let's leave it there and let's move forward. And that's why I was saying about therapy. People think it's all about rehashing. No, let's not do that. Let's not put that back out there.
Because then you're just reliving it every day.
Exactly. If they've never told their story, then yes, there might be some benefit in them finally being able to speak it. But then let's move on and let's look forward and let's really move forward and help them to have experiences. Help them to, develop relationships. That's so important. Peers
number one.
At those teen years is so important.
Well, and I think too, that's like, you need to be, if you don't have a good role model already, you need to almost have someone like teach you how to build these relationships. You know what I mean? Like teach you how to have a normal conversation with someone. If you only see your mom and dad swearing at each other all the time, it's like, and you walk up to someone in the playground and you're like, F you, and then you get her suspended. You know what I mean? It's just like, Someone literally almost has to be like, no, like when you go up to someone, you're like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, you don't whip a beer bottle at them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the job of a great counselor is to facilitate those relationships, not to be the person to have the relationship. It's to facilitate those relationships for the child so that they're having healthy peer relationships, healthy family relationships. Yes, you can model those behaviors, but it's really to help the child see their strengths, help them develop their skills, and just get out there in the world and have experiences, right?
Which
so they
is
can move on with life.
And that's like that relationship with themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like self,
and with their spirit or whatever their beliefs are, right? And helping them to have
That's so awesome.
And I would almost say it's even nice for them to, like, once they start like making these little changes and have these different nuances, it's like to remind them to reflect.
Yeah.
You know, and just be like, look how great your day was today, or, you know, whatever, something happened or something didn't happen. You made it through the whole day and something didn't happen. It's nice when they start, you teach them the art of reflection.
Yeah.
Because that's, I feel, also a little bit how they build their confidence.
And I think with, like, this is kind of like coming from personal experience, but I think in that child development kind of strain, like one of my sons doesn't remember ways that he felt that were pretty traumatic and very severe.
Yeah, it's our brain's way of protecting
itself. From like 4 years ago. And I'm just like, how can he not remember saying those words that he said?
Yeah.
But then in one way, I'm like, he did therapy. We've done a lot of work, and he really has focused and changed and grown his confidence. So I'm like, okay, so maybe that is good that he doesn't. Why does he need to remember it now? Like, he's brought it out, he's dealt with it, and then it's kind of, so
and
I'm like...
sometimes it's helpful for kids to reframe their story.
Yes.
And you can help them to do that.
That's
and to see it in different ways.
Yeah.
See the silver lining.
Yeah, well, and that everything is a learning process, right? No, we're not just all born perfect.
No.
It's like we go through these things, we have these hiccups, the world knocks us down, but the key is, like, you're still going to get up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That was
Okay,
fantastic.
Char, any final notes you want to add in? Any, like, words of wisdom we can pass on to the people out there now that you've given away where we are?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's okay. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
We all go through our challenges, and I think, you know, the negatives in life help us to really embrace the positives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
All right, guys. So
thanks so much,
Char, for joining us.
Thanks
and
for
we hope,
hopping in.
yeah, and we hope we gave you guys a little insight into childhood and youth trauma, because you never know who you might meet at the skate park.
Peace out. See ya.